I've made a video before about how do we behave as active readers. And this time I'm looking at questioning the author when we read a fiction text. So much of what you hear in this video will be the same as for when you read a factual text. So we really have four active reading strategies in questioning the author. The first one is to kind of work out exactly what the author is saying in difficult, challenging texts, and to work out what new words mean, and then to decide whether there are any topics that you need to research that are coming up in the book. And then there's the possibility to say what you wish the author could have done better. So when you reword what the author is saying, here are some very helpful tips. And I've dealt with this before in a short video about factual texts. But let's just pause for a minute about what do we say when we are questioning the author with a fiction text? Because we don't just say exactly what the author was saying in this sentence, we actually stop for a moment. And if the author wrote a fantastic sentence using perhaps a metaphor, a simile, maybe using descriptive words, a rhetorical question, expressive verbs, maybe even using a first person narrator, a present tense story, because usually stories are in the past, or even using sentence fragments. What you want to do after you've just finished saying what the author has just said, you want to pause for a moment and then tell people why the author said it just like this. Why were these words used? Because the author's actually using these special techniques of language to make an impact on the reader. And so that's a little extra step when you're talking about fiction that you need to add after you've said what the author said. You then say why the author said it. You might say, well, these sentence fragments were used to build excitement, or this first person narrator was used by the author to build connection, or these descriptive words really created a scene. Okay, or so maybe this simile helped us to see something in a completely new way. um, you know the use of a first person narrator often lets us into the main character's mind. So just be aware when you're talking about what work the author's done, just remember to also say why the author used those techniques as well. So then, of course, on my previous video, I mentioned that we can't always be stopping all the time to look up what new words mean. Sometimes we've just got to take a good old guess at what they mean, and there are gist words. But sometimes a word is so important. It's a key word, and if we don't understand it, we really need to stop, look it up online, because if we don't understand it, we really just can't keep reading. And then, of course, we have our need to research to find out a little bit more about what's going on in a novel. And of course, we've got the same thing as when looking at a factual text. You are really welcome to say what you feel the author should have done more clearly and how the author perhaps could have written this better that would have suited you a lot better.